capitalism really isn't a thing, and like the problems with capital, I don't know how they're going to. Okay, I'm really curious to see how they equate this.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast number 412. Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's analysis. This is Yusei Fudo versus capitalism. Now, before you go asking what the hell is a Yu-Gi-Oh! A 5D analysis, and who is Yusei, and why is he against capitalism? I don't know. I don't have any answers for this. But we can say where the video came from and who made it. So, this is from a YouTuber called noajenk. That's Noajenk. This came out last year in August and has about 17,000 views. It is a 12-minute video. I don't know what else to say about it. I only watched the first minute, and I was like, what is this video? What is going on? We're talking about the setting, I believe, of one of the seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh! And how that changed or was very different from the rest of Yu-Gi-Oh! And why it has a certain outlook and how that works out. And I'm led to believe that there is some dystopia, some sort of rundown city where people are on weird-looking bikes. And
Yes, but there's what's also funny is there's a reason for the city being that disheveled, and then why there's a nice, bright, and shiny city above it. There's a reason in the show for it.
Okay.
I guarantee you he's not going to explain it, or not going to let you know. Also, Drunken Mobile, yes, there are several decks that do just send cards directly to the graveyard for mechanics to kick off.
I'm trying to remember Battle Angel Lita also doing the city above the other city, the junk city that they're a part of. So,
was it ever explained in Alita? I don't remember.
All the rich people live there, and they drop their junk, and that's how the junk people live there. And if you try to get up onto the, there's only way.
Yeah, it's got the cleaners on it to keep people from climbing it.
These razor blade things that just go down. And that's what ends up happening to one of the heroes of the story because he's so crazy. So.
Also, over under on how many card games on motorcycles jokes is this person going to make? Because I guarantee you he's not going to be original.
Well,
if he makes any jokes at all.
Yeah, we have to see what he's trying to get at with this angle with the setting.
Is there a description for this video?
There is, but it's not very helpful. Let's just go to it. Yusei says there are no such thing as weak cards, an ideology that intrinsically reflects Marxist ideals. Let's talk about that.
Okay, that's where this is going. Okay, first off, no, that's not how that works. Okay, so Yusei's deck is made up of cards that people threw away because he lives in the junk town. And so he has lived his whole life just scraping together a deck. So they're mostly weak, lower level monsters, which he then uses to synchro summon, which is basically you take a tuner monster, which is just a type of monster, and numbers of others to add up the levels to equal the level of the synchro monster. His main synchro monster is Stardust Dragon. It is a defensive card. It protects against destruction of other cards on the field by sacrificing itself. That's its... And Yusei, as a character, as a person in the show, is very protective of his friends and cares a lot about his friends, which is why he's pissed... the main... conflict in the first half of the series is him being very pissed at an ex-friend of his who stole his first bike and his card and left the city and is now the number one duelist in the rich city.
Okay.
And so his whole thing is that he's not going to throw something away because he thinks it's weak or useless. Everything has a use. Which is nothing what Marxism says at all. They're perfectly willing to throw people away.
Okay, so he's looking at...
Oh my god, that's even stupider than I thought it was.
A valuable approach to junk or a repurposing of things that one man's trash is another man's treasure. That sort of philosophy.
And exactly. That's exactly that.
Yeah, when you're living in poverty, that's generally how it goes anyway. So...
And it's not like it's not poverty per se, it's just a very run-down part of the city, and there's a good reason for it. If he doesn't explain it in the video, I'll explain what happens to have made that city.
Okay, let's get going. 12-minute video. Shouldn't be too bad. Here we go.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Do you like card games? Do you like motorcycles? Do you like anti-capitalist messages being represented through the journey of a young teenage boy in his fight against the ruler of a city in order to free his friends and his fellow residents of the slums from the socio-economic oppression of a higher class? Then get ready for Card Games on Motorcycles.
Well, there's one card games on motorcycles joke already.
YuGiOh 5D's is a bit of a unique case. The first 2 seasons deliver a well-woven, thematically solid piece that questions the concept of class oppression still being a prominent threat in the future. Now, it's worth mentioning that it is
Does it really?
Yes. Okay, here's the thing. He's not wrong here. They do talk about, like, it kind of sucks to be poor and that we can't go to the uppers, which is where that's what the rich city is called. Unless
It's called upper?
Yeah, there's the uppers and the lowers.
Okay.
And the lowers generally can't move between the areas. The lowers can't move between the cities freely. Unless they get permission or they become a permanent enough duelist. Once again, everything in this world revolves around duel monsters. So if they are good at the game, they move up in the society.
Mm-hmm.
Or, with the exception of people who end up being criminals, they generally get relegated to the lower regardless. And that's like the tattoos you see the gold tattoos you see on people's faces. Those are criminal markers. And generally you get a new one every time you are convicted of a crime. So
I was hoping for some sort of comparison to like uppers and downers of stimulants and maybe barbiturates or something. Nah, it's okay.
No, but Yu-Gi-Oh can tend to go that way at times. Especially, it's just, anime nonsense.
Right.
But that's half the fun of it. They're trying to make a card game anime logical.
It's special and big and bombastic and melodramatic for sure. Okay.
That sounds like Ready Player One.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that whole show is one big circus, so...
I'd say a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh's more well-written than Ready Player One, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not even, yeah. There's too many episodes.
At least, as much as Konami, the company who owns the product, doesn't care, whoever they hire to write this stuff, actually gives a damn and tries to make this stuff entertaining.
Yeah, if you're doing hundreds of episodes, how many are there of Yu-Gi-Oh? There's probably a few hundred by now.
It depending on the season, because and then each season has sub seasons to it, because it's like with any anime, when they change the theme song, it kind of is technically a new season.
Mm-hmm.
5D's had 4 separate mini micro seasons within it. Arc 5 had 5, I think. The original Yu-Gi-Oh had, I think, 6? I don't remember. I haven't watched it in so long.
All right, no worries.
But yeah, it's been... And each time the name changes for the series, it's a completely separate... With the only exception of GX and the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Those two are the only ones that are linked together.
Oh, interesting. So they generally reinvent themselves every time.
Yes, with the exception of then Arc 5, which is also kind of like an anniversary special, because then they have different dimensions where they go to the 5D's universe, the original a universe from a series called Zexal, and then their own series universe, and then the original universe. So it's they kind of combined all the world universes into one. Once again, Yu-Gi-Oh just goes off the wall, and it's fun and dumb.
Yeah,
it's like a trigger anime. You just go, I'm here for the ride. What do you got for me?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have seen plenty of card battles on YouTube of just first 2 seasons, really, of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh yeah, that was the worst offender, because that's when they didn't have rules, at all.
You're what is?
And then it was
on?
when Battle City kicked off, and they're like, okay, guys, we have to set some rules for what the cards can do.
Yeah.
And then that's when they started writing a rule book.
Yeah, that's how you generally would sell a card game or an anime that has a card game as a product. You have to actually have understanding of the game rules to sell a game. You can't just make cards that you can collect. That would be like a baseball concept, but The show itself is what you're watching, and you want, ooh, this really cool Pokemon, but he doesn't do anything because it's all in.
Yeah, I mean, and Japan loves marketing. Like they turn everything, like everything gets an anime, and everything has so much product to. Like every anime has, you know, a bajillion products that you can buy from that anime.
Yeah. All right, here's Turmoil. Thanks for the 2. You're talking about Arc V of 5D's. It's different. Oh. Arc V of 5D's is different than what? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. No, he's talking about the uppers and lowers. It's the same. They use different terms in the series. I just can't remember, but the lower. I can't remember what they call the lower town. But it has a name to it. I just can't remember it. But yeah, when they go in Arc 5, when they go to the 5D's world, they have that same. It's the exact same world with all the same characters. Yusei just isn't there, and the characters talk about Yusei like they miss him, and he just gone somewhere else, so he's not there during the show because they generally don't have main characters interact with each other from different series.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Primarily the first 2 seasons that explore these. The last 3 seasons, besides having the hypest arc of all time with Crashtown, don't really continue on the themes that started with these seasons. That's perfectly fine, but for today's video, I'm going to dive into what makes these first 2 seasons so special, and I find what makes them so special compared to the other seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is how it explores the topic of the class structure of capitalism. But noajenk, I hear you interject behind your monitor. Isn't it bitterly ironic and borderline hypocritical for a card game anime that exists solely to promote a company's products that will in turn profit that same company to be critical of the same capitalistic system that benefits its popularity? Yes! So let's talk about lore. Around 18 years prior to the events of 5D's beginning proper, but many years after Duel Monsters and GX take place, Kaiba Corporation still maintains their rule of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe with an iron fist. At some point, they become aware of a technology called Moment. In the realm of 5D's, Moment serves as the very basis for Neo Domino City's entertainment, commerce, travel, and pretty much everything. Kaiba Corp starts becoming more aware of the potential energy of Moment, and creates the Moment Investigation and Development Section, or MIDS for short, in order to further research the technology. The team's lead researchers were Rex Godwin, Rutger Godwin, and Yusei's dad. The technology was pretty new, and every time it was used, it would cause drastically unsafe weather around the city. Yusei's dad, becoming aware of the possibility of what may occur in the future if the research isn't stopped, tries to disband MIDS and cancel Moment research. This request is denied by MIDS sponsors. Some stuff happens that we'll get into later, and an incident called Zero Reverse occurs. Zero Reverse causes many casualties, including Yusei's parents, and it ends up splitting Domino City into 2 parts. The parts of the city that remained, which would later go on to be known as Neo Domino City, and Satellite, a part of Domino City that drifted away and would later go on to become a glorified labor-run landfill for the city. So, to recap the main points, Domino City is split into 2 parts. One that is a brimming technological oasis run by Moment Technology, and one that is an island full of slums that was hit particularly hard by the same Moment Technology. And
the reason it got hit by that is because that's where the lab was located.
Okay, so it was originally the roots of...
It was closest...
Yeah.
Yes, it was the closest to where the lab was located. That's why it's hit so hard, and that's why there's a massive gap between Neo Domino City and Satellite.
Okay.
Because it got blown off from the main city.
So I'm assuming the people in the new city know what not to do when they use the Moment technology? Or
no, they stopped you. They reverted back to something, or they... It's been years since I've watched 5Ds, but they reverted back to a older type of energy. It's still it's like, clean energy. There's no, it's it's like nuclear energy basically,
right,
where it really doesn't have any downsides to it. But this was the Moment or the momentum energy was them experimenting with their current energy source and it getting out of control.
All right, so it seems as if the city itself, the new one, is stable, and it's not a ticking time bomb as I would have thought a plot like this would be. So they just had this big setup at the start just to get things going, and it's like, oh yeah.
So what he just told you, they don't tell you that until like the third like arc in the series.
Oh.
Because some people show who want to try to turn the city into a ticking time bomb to destroy it, and it's explained what happened. And then it also explains why Satellite and Neo Dominus City are the way they are.
Okay.
Like, this is not like the first scenes of the show. The first scenes of the show are Yusei testing his motorcycle, see if he can beat a timer, because he's planning on running. Basically, he's illegally crossing the border to get into Neo Dominus City from Satellite, and he has to go through a trash chute within a 10-minute period while they do maintenance on it. And that's the whole first 2 episodes.
Okay, I gotcha.
And him outrunning the police. So
interesting. Okay.
Not gonna be able to get around it if we're talking 5Ds, so I might as well just get it out of the way. Let's talk Marxism.
Oh no.
Oh boy, that was a fucking jump.
Yeah,
let's talk about it.
Yeah, here's the setting of the universe. Oh, by the way, here's Marx. Like, oh, hi, Marx.
The setting. I mean, we can all be honest, right? It's not trying to be realistic.
Well, usually when you have catastrophes that happen to a area, that area is usually removed and people never return unless there's some sort of historical significance or there's something salvageable.
They had started using Satellite as a penal colony, basically.
Oh, jeez.
That's why they send. That's like I mentioned. All the gold tattoos you see on everyone. Those are criminal marks. They track people who. They keep an eye, so they can help keep an eye on people who broke the laws.
I got
and Satellite was turned into that's why that's what it is.
Interesting.
That's why the people there do sort through junk and recycle all of it as workers. That is what happens. He's not lying there.
Okay.
At the beginning of Section 1 of the Communist Manifesto, Marx states that the...
Okay, so...
Oh,
now,
Jesus Christ.
Here's the question. Where's the first half of that quote? Because that's not the full quote. The ... indicates that, so that's not the first section. Oh, it might be in the first section, but it's not the first...
Yeah, we have to know what a bourgeois is and why it is relevant to the conversation. Unless he doesn't define the term, then we're like, sir, can you rewind there and try again? That's not how he explained things. So hopefully he'll explain the bourgeois and what it means before he continues.
Modern bourgeois society that has sprouted the ruins of feudal society has not done away with class antagonisms. It has established new classes, new conditions of oppression, new forms of struggle in place of the old ones. This concept is very literally displayed in 5D's, with a new but familiar form of class oppression being made apparent to the viewer within the first few episodes.
So, by virtue of the people here being criminals, I wouldn't quite say that's a class. I think that's just a designation, meaning you've broken the law. And this is how we see you as you get to live over there now.
Yes, they are kicked out of Neo Dominus City.
And could they just go anywhere else, or do they have to stay there?
They are allowed to leave if they get permission.
Oh, so they're sort of
they are
put into a giant penal colony.
Yes,
of opportunity.
Now, by the end of the series, they do fix that problem. Actually, if end of the first 2 seasons, they do fix that, so it's no longer they start to be like, okay, yeah, we the Neo Dominus City is kind of like, yeah, we made a mistake, we should have done that, and they fix that problem, and they start they learn their lesson. They don't keep it going.
I got
They
it.
let the denizens of Satellite start moving freely between Neo Domino City and Satellite.
All right.
Like they build big, huge, nice bridges, and they actually start rebuilding Satellite.
Cool. Okay. Here's Turmoil for the 5. Thank you. In 5Ds, the lowlives live on the island. Meanwhile, everything else is New Domino City. In Arc V, it's one city where lowlives equals bottom and rich are on the top. Okay. That sounds a bit your typical sort of
Yeah.
struggle between the rich and the poor. It's fine in most animes, really. And here's HuGiOh. Genius. Thanks for the 1. Oh god, another retard thinking an anime is anti-capitalism because he fights a corporation. Kill me. Also, YuGiOh is probably the most pro-capitalist IP ever. The manga, the anime, all the card game variants. Shove this Bolshevik bullshit up your ass. Fairy. Okay, I'm glad we got that off your chest there, Hugh.
I mean, what's real funny is, the last couple rule changes that the company made to the card game, they tanked the game so hard they reverted all those changes back to the preferred rule set because people stopped buying the cards.
Oh, really? The rule set was too strict?
They, like, if you scroll back a bit, when he's showing people playing the actual physical card game, there was those blue cards. They introduced those blue cards to try to slow the game down, and to bring cards from an extra deck, which is limited to 15 cards, you needed to have those cards, and they also had to go in the extra deck. So it basically punished you for playing a specific way, which you had never been punished before, because the company decided we were going to change the rules.
I assume that you have to randomly get those cards, or you could buy them individually. How does that work?
They come from packs, but most people, you can buy them in packs of 11.
Yeah.
And it's, random.
There you go. That's what I thought.
But the smart people, we just buy them singles on secondhand sites,
Right.
because it's far cheaper that way.
Yeah, I thought so.
So, the only time you buy those packs, or like, you don't buy packs, most people buy boxes, which are like $80, and then you get your money back because you can resell the cards for singles.
Okay, so
or you use them as trade fodder.
That sounds like an add-on to the game, which no one wanted, cost more, it was not necessary, and just
it destroyed 90% of the game, like the way the players play the game, because Konami didn't like the fact that, because the rules, like the rule book for itself, is a mile tall with all these really dumb one-off rules that they really need to fix. But instead of doing that, they just go, no, we're shutting down the popular mode of play because it's easier that way.
Yeah. All right. Interesting, Konami. Don't screw up basic games when they're working. Jeez. Holy crap. Anyway.
If you're from Neo Domino City, you have it made. If you're from Satellite, well, you're scum. People look down on you, and you're no better than the trash you're forced to work with in the wasteland in which you're forced to supply your labor. You don't even have to be from Satellite to get this treatment either. You just need to live there. Yusei himself was born in Neo Domino City, but lives in Satellite and as such receives the Satellite treatment. Now, the citizens of Neo Domino go...
Here's the thing, no one knew he was from Neo Domino City. That scene of him as a baby, that literally is a Superman being sent from Krypton scene for his parents saving him from the incoming explosion.
Yeah.
And then he was found in Satellite and has grown up in Satellite his entire life. That's a revelation that comes 2 seasons in.
By himself, or
while
like
dealing
his
with the
parents
people
died,
that
or
yes, he's dealing with his parents died in the explosion, trying to stop the explosion from happening. And when the people who are trying to turn that time bomb back on, they're trying to stop them.
yeah,
Basically, and that's because the Rex Godwin is the main villain for the first 2 seasons, and he gives all this info to Yusei to what happened during their fight, or during their duel.
oh, okay.
All right. Cool.
go about their days not a care in the world for this faced by the citizens of Satellite, and the only acknowledgement they give Satellite citizens is purely derisive. Class structure and oppression is very prominent in the world of 5Ds, and it affects everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a kid, or a duelist, or even if you were originally born in Neo-Domino like in Yusei's case. If you're on the lower part of the totem pole, you're better off shining the boots of the bourgeois, who in this case would be Neo-Domino citizens. So we established that class oppression exists in...
That's a bit of a stretch. To say that the overlords of the working class are literally a city away, it's like, well, no, they would be in the city on the same society. These are two different groups, literally far apart and living their own lives. So, if you want to talk about class structure, it's kind of like no, the bosses are over there, but it's not exactly how Marx envisioned the hierarchy of capitalism or whatever he thought was oppressive. This is a strange take on just because they physically live in another area or another place. Not quite the same. I'm sure there's a hierarchy in both cities for other people as well. Like they have a hierarchy.
Once again, if
There has to be, right?
Yeah.
Jack, the taller one with the yellow hair right there, he's the number one duelist in the city.
Yeah,
He is the strongest duel monsters player in the city.
There's an organization within an organization. It's like, yeah, that's how it goes.
Yes, and generally within this society, in every series, the better you are dueling, the higher your status. It's just because you are stronger, quote unquote, than people who are worse at it.
Yeah. Here's
And
John
that's
Doe.
why everyone learns to play the game.
Here's John Doe, the average Joe. I remember reading the start of Yu-Gi-Oh! Before cards were introduced. Oh, cool. It was a supernatural manga where Yugi was unknowingly possessed by Yami at first and punished wicked people with improvised games to Shadow Realms. Think of it like Yu-Gi-Oh! Saw edition.
Yes, the original manga and also season 0 of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. That's why Yugi and Yami was called the King of Games, not just because they were good at duel monsters, because they were good at every single game.
Right. Interesting. Okay. So then they said, hey, we could make some products to sell. Let's make a card game. And they did.
Yes, well, the manga artist and writer and creator, when he started doing the card game, he liked it and wanted to keep going with it. And that's how it kept going.
Interesting.
So like that's, it wasn't purely, we can make money off, because the card game started, or the manga was going well before the card game started. It was when the manga got popular, way popular, when the card game part kicked in.
Yeah.
So
interesting choice in writing to suddenly create a card game and then base your setting and world around that. I don't think that would occur to most authors writing a fantasy story or a sci-fi story and say, hey, wait a second, I can make a cool game out of this out of cards.
Well, what's really funny is that the all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Apparently, like all of Duel Monsters, was an old Egyptian card game within the world of the show, and that's mainly because the manga art, the creator has a giant hard-on for ancient Egypt. If you couldn't tell.
Oh dear, was he watching? Was it season 5 of JoJo's?
I have no idea, but yeah, he loves ancient Egypt and that whole style.
Okay. Cool. All right.
That's also why the characters all have that like very angular eye and very thick eyeliner look to them, because that's how a lot of Egyptian hieroglyphics looked, and he likes that style.
Alrighty.
Nice.
Cool. Let's go.
Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, but so what? What does this do with this idea? It's with this Marxist idea of class structure that 5Ds weaves together its central argument against capitalism.
What?
To create a long-standing social division between humans is immoral, as every human has an important role to...
Wait a second. Didn't we already establish that...
You mean like Marxism?
Wait, yeah, but he already established...
Which directly tells you these people are bad, these people are good.
Yeah, wait, they created two cities as a result of an experiment that went bad. And then they just kept the remnants of the city to live there, and they used it as a penal colony. They're not using them to survive. They could do without them if they wanted, I'm sure. There's other...
Yes, Neo Dama City would just dump its trash somewhere else if they didn't have satellite.
Right. They're fine
The only reason they dump it on satellite because it's about a mile offshore from Neo Dama City. Like, we don't smell it over there.
Right. So, unless there's some explanation that these are the guys who till the soil and grow the crops and make the produce, no, they're fine. They're living their life, and the guys in the slums can do their own, like they could rise themselves up and make their own stuff and make their own products and make
they could duel and duel amongst the others, right? And move up within the upper class,
if
right?
If you want to take the prize fighting angle a bit further, sure, of course, but nothing stopping them, the people of that city, or someone from the main city to start their own thing in another state or another city itself, and not even anything to do with these two cities.
Technically, within the first 2 seasons, the Rex Godwin, who's also the head of the police, he kind of does stop people from satellite coming through.
Right.
But that's because of his own personal own personal reasons that he does that. It's not a built into the city of Neo Dama City that no one from satellite can come in. It's just him that causes that. So,
and I'm pretty sure Marxism isn't about an immoral act against division of people, right? Like, what is the point of Marxism? It's just gaining more power for whoever they think is the special.
Well, no, they capitalism is a moralistic process. It's not. Capitalism doesn't have morals. Capitalism has...
Everyone has the opportunity. Yeah, how bad?
I made this thing. Give me money for it. And the person goes yes or no. And then they walk away. It's not like Marxism where it's, I didn't do anything. Give me money.
Well, the concept
or you're a bad person.
Yeah, the concept is that if we only eliminated classes or people in power, we'd all sort of get along and not fight, and we all have a common goal, and there wouldn't be any problems with who's in charge and who's making money until you realize people need reasons to go to work. They can't just say, oh, we're just do it for the better of everyone else, when that's not how society works.
Yes, considering Marxism believes that all humans are inherently good, kind people, whereas capitalism goes, no, people are assholes and you have to give them a reason not to be an asshole.
Right. And we have laws and rules, and even within the sectors of industry, like energy, for example, petroleum, they have rules on why and how they can pump certain types of oil, how they clean it. It's not just like some crazy, throw yourself down that hole and find oil sort of lessons. There's all these rules and regulations within themselves. Or else they wouldn't.
But also, to be honest, capitalism would do that itself because they realize you make more money when you don't kill the people who get the stuff for you. You got
to treat everyone's treated as a resource, and you don't abuse people. That's kind of a given. So
that's what it seems like, though. And I mean, every time you see the practices of how they approach things,
right? Whereas the Marxist will say, "Oh, you're working for 8 hours a day. That's slavery. You're not entitled to the profits because
they don't look at it and go, oh, that person wants to work that much because they want to improve their own life and they're doing it because they want to, not because I think they're being forced." You know what I mean?
Right. There's the only option is the wage. You can only get a salary or whatever. You can never take a part in the profit. It's like, well, you can in certain companies. You can buy into the company and own it and be on the board of directors.
It's called stock options.
Yeah,
most companies offer stock options.
If they do have a public offering, but usually they're private, and that's what we talk about: joint partnerships or conglomerates or this or that. Those are bigger companies, but it all depends on the nature of the hierarchy.
I mean, I work at Six Flags as a temp employee just for the season, and I have stock options.
Oh yeah, no, a lot of big companies do say out of your paycheck they'll give you a percentage that they buy back into the company, and you can get those sold or bought or whatever, depending on your however you want to invest. It's up to you. So okay, Joe Crazy, thanks for the 5. If you think YuGiOh lore is bonkers, it canon in Beyblade that Moses parted the Red Sea with a Beyblade. What?
Yeah, Beyblade took the idea of we're going to make a anime around a specific marketing object and just rip that knob off. It is insane for, tops.
So spinning
spinning
stuff
toy tops
is the be all end all of the universe.
It was literally the case. They just went, "Fuck it, we don't know. Writers, have fun. We don't care. We'll animate anything you throw at us. Just go. We're not going to bother."
Right. Not to be confused with Gurren Lagann, which has a very similar concept, but they just don't romanticize it that much, I guess.
See, here's the thing: Gurren Lagann has more coherent writing than Beyblade, which is, for as insane as that show gets, it's still more coherent. It makes more sense.
Right. Okay.
Play in society regardless of their standing, or as they succinctly puts it, nobody is useless. The two characters used to dictate and explore this theme throughout the story are its protagonist, Yusei Fudo, and the primary antagonist of the first two seasons, Rex Godwin. The dichotomy of these two characters is well developed throughout the show, but there's just as many similarities as there are differences. Before tackling that, however, it's prudent to go over each of their stories. We'll start with Rex. Like I mentioned before, Rex was a part of MIDS in Neo Domino and was ardently dedicated to developing Moment along with his brother, Rutger, and Yusei's father. Important to note here that at some point along development, Rutger is revealed to be one of the 5 signers meant to wage war against the Dark Signers because why not? When Yusei's father makes it apparent that he wants the development of Moment to be cancelled, Rutger forces himself in as the head of research, and under the influence of a dark mark, gets his men to wound Yusei's father. Realizing he may be losing control of himself, he cuts off his own arm to get rid of the signer mark and gives it to Rex, telling Rex that he must one day gather the signers in order to defeat the Dark Signers. But hey, no pressure. Rex then watches his brother overload the Moment reactor and cause Zero Reverse, which kills Rutger and leaves Rex stranded in Satellite. Now a man with a mission, Rex intends to build an entire goddamn bridge by himself in order to make it back to Neo Domino to see if he can somehow begin the plan to gather the signers and possibly locate his brother. When security forces him to stop building the bridge, Rex jumps over the entire incomplete bridge in a dual runner in a stunt that would make even Evel Knievel blush, and manages to survive the jump, and then loses his left arm. Somehow not dying from blood loss, Rex replaces his missing arm with a mechanical arm, and now reaching his goal of arriving in Neo Domino, aims to make it to the top of the city in order to gather the signers as his brother instructed. This is important. Rex knows he needs power and influence in order to carry out his plan. As such, it is in his best interest to force himself out of the bottom rung of the social ladder and up to the top, no matter the cost. It is when he reaches the top of the ladder that Rex begins constructing a bizarre capitalist hellhole. Rex makes it law that satellite citizens cannot migrate to the city, further exacerbating the division between the satellite and the city.
The reason was because he doesn't want people to know who he is. No one in Neo Domino City knows who he is. The survivors in Satellite do. That's the whole point.
Okay, so
He's hiding his background.
So he's not letting anyone into the city.
From Satellite, yes.
Oh,
He's
just from
doing that
Satellite.
on purpose.
Okay.
Because he doesn't want his plan to fail, so he's purposely preventing people who would know who he is and letting that secret out.
Okay, fair enough. Not that
like
complex.
when that scene when he's doing the jump in Satellite, no one remembers who. Like nowadays, no one quite remembers who he is, and so they just speak of him as like a mythical figure who leaped out of, who flew out of Satellite. That's why in the cutscene, like some of it showed his face, some of it showed it black, because I think the blacked out face was talked about earlier in the series before it was revealed it was him.
Right.
So.
Okay. Interesting. Nothing to do with capitalism, though.
No.
Now he's just explaining the story.
Yeah, in context of the story, it's not. It's literally him just trying to keep his plan from failing.
Yeah, and plus he could always try, follow his technology, he could probably try some plastic surgery, but, robotic arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, this YouTuber just project. He's like, I see this as a Marxist idea.
Maybe. I don't know. I have to actually.
I guess all kids shows then, because everyone's special, everyone's equal.
It's more of a socio-economic model. It has nothing to do with borders or boundaries or passports or whatever. It's like, okay, Marx, what do you have to say about immigration? Like, I have no idea. So he'd have to connect the two in a clear way.
I'm just looking at the what they give, like the more videos from this person. And good lord, he has a bunch of he's analyzed other series as well. Good lord, what is this? Oh my god, I may have to look at this person, just be like, oh my goodness.
You really want to do that to yourself?
Oh, it might be interesting because he's also trying to analyze what makes a good duel, a good watching a good game go through. It's I'm really curious to see how he what he thinks makes a good duel.
So this guy loves card games and anime. Gee, I guess he likes Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, cool.
And he likes the Communist Manifesto.
Well, I don't know. I don't know where it honestly comes out of nowhere. I'm just like, where are you going, sir? How are you going to connect these dots? I don't know. We'll find out.
By not connecting them.
Clearly, this man's a capitalist. He's not allowing immigration. It's like, I don't know. I really don't think so. But okay, if you think so, we'll go with that.
All right, buddy.
See what Adam Smith has to say, but all right, that's cool.
Attempting to locate the signers or the signer cards into the public. It's about this time that Stardust Dragon makes its way to Satellite, bringing us to... Yusei Fudo grew up in Satellite after Zero Reverse without a family, bonding closely with his friends Crow Hogan and Jack Atlas. Turns out that Zero Reverse killed the families of most children in Satellite, Crow and Jack included. Years pass and Stardust Dragon falls into the hands of Yusei. Rex learns of this and gets his assistant Jaeger to convince Jack to steal Stardust Dragon from Yusei, promising Jack glory and fortune beyond his wildest dreams if he does so. Jack takes this opportunity to aim towards the top of the class pyramid sculpted by Rex, abandoning Yusei and the rest of his friends in Satellite. In response, Yusei builds his own D-Will and makes it to the city after outrunning the bully from Volume 1 of the Yu-Gi-Oh manga, and aims to fight Jack in order to reclaim Stardust Dragon and rebuild his bond with Jack. This is a very important distinction to make between the motivations of Rex and Yusei. Rex aims to go towards the city in order to create a class structure that will benefit himself, while Yusei arrives...
Does he now?
It benefits him so he can find the people he needs for his plan.
Right. It has nothing to do with an economic model. I don't think.
No.
I want to make more money. That's why I'm like, no, he doesn't.
I think only in the 4Kids dubbed is money ever talked about in Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't think in Japan, I don't think in the Japanese version of the original series, even with Kaiba being, Kaiba, I don't think they ever talked about money. It's always just assumed that stuff people just have it, or it's done through trading cards at this point.
He's not concerned with finances, let's just say. So, I don't know.
Money is not a concern. Money is not a concern in the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! At all. It never has been.
All right. Okay, good to know, because I'm like, how is this an economic model? He's stopping immigration? Like, okay, say so. Still don't know what it has anything to do with Marxism, though, but, hopefully would explain that.
I mean, you think he'd love this world because it doesn't deal with money at all. It's just trading.
Yeah, there you go. It's all just you solve your disputes with card battles and motorcycles.
Maybe he doesn't like it because it's the African slave trade.
Oh, maybe. There's no black slaves in Gentile.
Well, clearly the black slaves are a metaphor for these mythical creatures, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, they're enslaved by the masters who hold them in their hands.
Yeah, and they're white. Ugh.
Solely
I'm
to
sorry, but
mend
this
his
video is
broken
just
bond with
ridiculous.
Jack. Yusei understands Jack's motivation for leaving Satellite, but would never do it himself as he values his bonds above all else. We've established that Rex's ideology...
God.
What?
Actually, Yusei goes, one, to figure out why Jack left, because Jack didn't say a thing other than, I'm leaving, and I'm taking your stuff. And two, Yusei wanted his card back. And he initially was going to go home once he got his stuff from Jack, but he got roped into Rex's plan, because both Jack and Yusei have a signer mark on them.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Like, he literally was going to go, get his stuff back, and leave. And he's like, that was his whole initial plan, and then the anime kicks in.
All right. Well,
So his thinking is capitalists are oppressors and the workers are the oppressed.
I mean, that's basic Marx theory. That's nothing. So at least he's got that right.
I
at
just wondered.
At least we know he can read, because then obviously he just had that.
Or he has
into
a
his
friend
head.
that reads to him. Yeah.
Yeah, but even in the same model of Battle Angel, like it's just that city in the sky doesn't need anyone from the ground. It's fine the way it is.
Yes, but also like the whole shining city on the hill and the, messy, just destroyed city down below where the poor people live. That's like basic anime, like dystopia world. That's basic dystopia world anywhere world.
Yeah,
It's not a critique of capitalism to have that in your world.
Yeah, we could look at several. This is a trope. You can look at several castles in the sky in cartoons and anime, all sorts of stories, fantasy, whatever, and see if there's a class struggle there. Not necessarily, but there could be. I just don't see it here when the focus of the story is some weird plot to garner power, but not financial power.
Yeah, like most is just talking about like bonds of friendship and family. Like that's mostly what the themes of this series is.
If this was a model for slavery or for like exploiting the people in the satellite city, they'd be like, okay, you might have something to say about that, but that still wouldn't be Marxist or socialist or.
Yeah, the most they exploit the satellite denizens is they use it as a penal colony, and they have them work to sort out recyclable materials.
Right. And then they do away with that in the second season or whatever.
Yeah, but like season 3, they kind of be like, okay, well, like people still live and work in satellite, and they still do that because they're like, we're fine. Like, it's not like the entirety of satellite was like revolution over this. They're like, okay, so we can go to Neodama City. Okay, cool. We have a bridge, so we can go there easier now. Okay, cool. I'm still gonna live here. All my stuff is here. Like, I like it here. I can do whatever I want here. I don't care. Like most of the,
I assume they don't have resource issues like food and water and all that good stuff.
As far as I'm aware, like some of the kids, Crow watches over a bunch of orphans, and they kind of mention that they're short on food, but that's only because they have to deal with what comes from Neodano City at that point in time. Once the city opens up, it's like as far as I'm aware, they don't have food issues. They don't have any issues like that. They're just a part of the city again. It's just a more slumish part of the city.
All right. Okay.
These represent the Marxist concept of the bourgeois. I would contest as well that Yusei's represent that of the proletariat. Marx states that with the development of industry, the proletariat not only increased in number, it becomes concentrated in greater masses. Its strength grows and it feels that strength more. This concept is the fundamental basis of Yusei's debt.
No, it's not, you fucking idiot. I know what he's going to say. He's going to say it's the fundamental basis of his deck and of synchro summoning. It's not. It's really not.
Did you say something about summoning his dad? What was that?
No, synchro summoning. Yusei.
Synchro. Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, let's let him finish the sentence real quick.
Right.
Utilizing smaller monsters in a blitz unity in order to create one stronger synchro monster.
Okay, yes.
What?
No, that's not. Yusei's deck is made up of, one, the junk archetype, which is all very low-level monsters. Like the archetype of that has the junk in its name are made up of low-level monsters so they can synchro summon to stronger monsters.
Yeah, but
that is true. But most synchro decks work like that.
this dude is trying to affiliate the idea that because of industrialization, the people who are working in the industry, there are so many, they have this...
His only link is that synchro monsters use more than 2 monsters generally to make 1 monster.
Right, but he's saying this is the connection that Marx is trying to say, that because there's some sort of critical mass of people that have this inherent strength by virtue of numbers, which is very similar to the concept of Yu-Gi-Oh combining other monsters together to form a like, what the hell are you talking about, buddy? That
All
is
synchro summoning is just a more streamlined version of fusion summoning, which was, from the original series where you use 2 monsters and you use the fusion card
yeah. Okay.
to get the monster that you want. Like, that's what it is. It's just another way. It's a variation of that exact same type of mechanic.
Okay. That's good enough for me. Didn't have to have some
Lord.
weird social model on top of that to explain it, but okay.
God.
Woo!
I wonder what he thinks of Transformers.
I wonder what he thinks of how a pencil is made. It's like you get the copper from here, you get the rubber from there, you get the lead from... It's the worker's power or strength.
That's always the crazy thing about these Marxists.
They don't
Yes,
understand how
they're
things are
using all
made.
of Yeah,
They never watched how it's made.
they use all these supplies and they never know how it's made, where it comes from, where it originates from, how many people have to sweat over making that into the final, into stores and whatnot.
Well, same
Seriously,
with...
I bet you if you just sat a bunch of socialist and Marxists down and had them watch how it's made for 3 hours, if you've ever seen that show where it's just it just goes like you just watch through a factory as a product is made and they explain it.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally all it is. And it's
Do
like,
you know what money is? Like,
half
like,
of them,
you
I
spend
guarantee
it,
you, half
right?
of them would no longer be Marxists and socialists by the end of sitting there watching that series.
no, they're not. They just want to bullshit their way into thinking that, and sign up to my Patreon where I explain in more in detail about how things are Marxist ideas.
Yes, comrades, give me more money so I can say screw you to capitalism.
Here's John Doe, the average Joe again. Thank you, sir. Guys, it's a show about card games for children with funny hair on motorcycles. Yeah, that's pretty much.
I know. Think of the kids, man.
You can imagine some Japanese author going, okay, you know what? This is really the undertone of a social economic model I was thinking about. It's kind of related to Marx, but not really. And we're going to bring that out in one of the seasons near the end, mentioning about this model, and then I'm going to talk about it in the season. Like, no one's doing that. No one's having some...
We must educate the new generation.
Yeah, no one's going to start planning some weird shit in a kid's cartoon about...
See, here's the thing. If a Japanese author did do that, it would be in a light novel, and it probably wouldn't get a show.
No. It would be the focus of the novel, or it wouldn't be some undertone. It would be like pretty obvious.
Yeah, Japan is not subtle.
Marxist.
when they don't want to be, Japan is not subtle. They can be subtle. Generally, though, they don't like being subtle.
I agree. I think they can do so.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, no,
I mean,
they
I've
absolutely
seen it. No, yeah, I've seen it. No, sorry.
No,
Poor
but
word on my part.
Far more often, they, as just in their entertainment industry anyway, they much prefer to be loud and bombastic and then have something on the side, rather than the whole thing just being subtle.
Right. I remember
Japan discovered animation and movies and decided, fuck it, we're having fun with this.
Yeah, there's all kinds of anime out there. I was watching one that just, I think, came out. It was based off a light novel called Love, which is it's a romantic military sort of genre, and it involves time travel, and that's it. Like, once you go any further than that, it's too complicated. And if you like stories about characters that are trying to fight a war that's never going to be won, and you have to go back in time to figure out how to do that, and the war is never won. It's always about the relationships between these characters and what it means to be in a war and the drama they're in. And that's as far as I think that's as far as it went. I don't remember the endings to these stories. And obviously, the show just started, but these are like light novels that came out like 20 years ago, at least. So they're now finally seeing the light of day, or alternative is the sequel or what have you. So the time travel part has not been introduced yet. But to do time travel, to do romantic comedies, to do all these things with mechs, with the alien invasion stories, is like, that's way more than enough than to put in let's change the social economic model of Japan. And everyone was socialist. And it's like, wait a second, how does that work? It's a little complicated.
It's like if
don't question it, General.
Yeah, it's like generally if they like most of what Japan does is saying screw you to social hierarchies. That's like most of their material.
They want to have fun.
They
They want to have attractive characters getting caught up in their own lifestyles and the drama they're in, and whatever the actual genre is. So if it's magical girl or military or fantasy, that's the focus. No one wants to learn about buying and selling and going to work unless that's the conflict of the story. And even then, I've not seen one anime whose focus was day-to-day mundane shit. And going
there's Dragon House Hunter or Dragon, where it's literally just a dragon who gets kicked out of his family's home and he has to go house hunting, and it's an elf helping him. It's literally just watching a realtor elf show a dragon a bunch of houses.
That sounds interesting.
That's the whole show.
You could make that fun.
Yes, it is. It's absolutely hilarious, and it's actually had one of the best openings of that entire season. Like it's like an Irish jig. Like if you played it at like an Irish bar or like an Irish pub, it wouldn't sound out of place. And it's an adorable little show. Yeah, it's when you say like, oh, it's a house, it's a dragon looking for a home, like going with a realtor to find a house. It's like, okay then, yeah, it's elves have a realtor.
Yeah, you're either gonna be like, okay, or you're gonna be like, yeah, okay.
It's like, I can get behind that because it's literally just it's an elf realty company that helps monsters in typical RPGs find houses to avoid adventurers. It's also a lot of like explaining why traps are there to prevent adventurers from bothering monsters in their homes. Like it takes that very typical. It's not isekai, but it has that same like like gamifying a lot of logic, or like gamifying or making like stats and stuff like that like a thing.
Yeah,
for some bizarre reason that creatures can see.
It's a subgenre. It's great. The idea is always fun because people will be attracted to the main genre, which is fantasy, and go, oh yeah, this is something I can relate to. It's related to gaming. What would a villain or a boss or mini boss do to avoid their fate? So,
yeah, it's one of those like, it's like, once again, Japan just has fun with their stuff.
Yeah.
They don't care. I mean, they do, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, they don't give a shit. We're going to do whatever we want.
I would like to see someone who's vested in economics make a story or anime about that, just to see. Because I'm sure they can make it fun. I don't know how, though.
I'm almost positive there's a series about that. I would have been amazed if there wasn't.
There are anime about buying and selling, for sure, but not specifically changing the economic model.
Oh, yeah.
So, even Spice and Wolf is pretty close to that idea, but it's not about buying and selling. That's part of the plot, but it's not the focus. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
well, let's see what the rest of it is dumb.
Yeah.
Is going to be said.
Yusei is strong by himself, but ultimately his strength does come from his bonds in terms of his deck and himself. Rex can't say the same for himself, and Jack was on track to do the same until Yusei intervened to save him. Yusei's entire existence challenges the class pyramid Rex has created, and in true proletariat fashion, he...
Remind me what proletarian means again?
The working class. There's the bourgeois.
It's in true Japanese anime shonen protagonist who is bucking the system in every single, because Japan had a class system for decades, for millennia. Most of the younger generation likes to buck the whole, like, like these people don't realize how still class structured Japan is even now. It's like it still very much is. Like there's not like it's not like the same type of hierarchy. It's just moved on to a different form of it, which is why there's so many anime that it's like young guys being able to do or young guys or gals being able to do what they want, regardless of what their parents or the rest of society says.
Yeah, you would look at more as a hero character than, oh, he's some rebel or he's some leader of whatever. It's like, no, really, no. That's a consequence of the story of what happened to the city, but that's what you do in stories. Anyway, you reveal the mystery of the setting, if there is one.
Yeah, and Yusei joins with Rex at the start because Rex is like, help me stop what's coming. Yusei agrees to it. And then he becomes the hero only because he wants to stop his home from being destroyed, which is Satellite. Like, if all this took place on Neo Domino City and Yusei had no idea what was going on, he wouldn't have gotten involved. Like, he only gets involved because he has a mark on him. And Rex asks him to. Because Rex thinks he can use Yusei for his own goals.
Right. Okay. I'm sure there's some class struggle in there somewhere, but,
If any, it's very minor.
Yeah.
He aims to take power away from the bourgeois, in this case, by convincing Jack to come back to Satellite.
How would that destroy or take power away from the bourgeois? I don't get it. What is he talking about?
No, he just wants Jack to come home and be with his friends.
Yeah,
because they're basically a family.
Is Jack in control of the working class? Is he in charge of a company or factory? Like, what's going on?
No, he's technically working under Godwin because Godwin elevated him to the point he's at. Because Godwin used Jack as a way to be like, see, anyone from Satellite can become king. Become the duelist king. He was using Jack as a way to keep the people in Satellite from getting pissy with him.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a class struggle here. I'm just seeing a bunch
honestly, it worked up until Yusei breaks out.
Oh.
It had worked. Because most of the people you see that are pissy about being in Satellite are the people who were in Neo Domino City, committed a crime, and got kicked to Satellite. Like in that earlier scene where it showed the guy getting tripped carrying the boxes, the one that did the tripping was the guy who had just gotten kicked out of Neo Domino City to Satellite because he committed a crime. And he was pissy about being there.
Okay.
And he still thought of everyone as under him.
Yeah, this is reaching a bit too far for. This is like really hard to understand where he's coming from. This guy. These plots are not some crazy groups of people in some hierarchy.
YuGiOh is not that deep. It really isn't. Like, as someone who's watched pretty much every series, it's not that deep.
Can you imagine YuGiOh? I represent the working class. I'm going to stop you from imposing your will upon us. It's like, what? Don't you want to have a card?
Isn't that great? The kids are learning and playing.
Yeah, something.
Well,
in the end, Rex puts on the arm that Rutger gave so many years ago, which probably breaks about 1 million different health code violations as the head of Neo Domino City. You think he'd be more responsible than that. And gains Darksigner powers. His plans are ultimately thwarted by the unity of Yusei and Jack. And also Crow is there too, I guess. And the day is saved. After overcoming so many trials, Yusei and the signers amass their numbers in order to overthrow the long-standing plot of the bourgeois, or Rex, again, and create a new...
So Rex is the bourgeois? That's just one guy. Are you sure that's how Marx explained it? I'm quite sure...
Because I'm pretty
sure
that sounds more like Marx's, just one person at the head and no one else is allowed to do anything. That doesn't sound like capitalism.
Aren't they doing the same thing? I don't know. I can't follow anymore.
Also, if you couldn't tell, the series had a lot of what are they called? The giant signs out in the American Midwest. I can't remember what they're called.
Crop circles?
No, like the giant
billboards.
Mesoamerican.
Like
the giant Mesoamerican pictures out that are drawn out in the desert. I can't remember what they're called.
Oh,
Like the hummingbird, the monkey, the giant, like all those like what are they called?
I don't know. I think I know what you mean, though. I just never heard the term. Interesting.
One sec.
Okay, but I mean, this is your typical story of a bunch of adventurers coming together to stop the evil bad. So,
Nazca lines. They're like the villains are all based on the Nazca lines.
oh,
Like
really?
they're evil. Like that sign that you saw on the back of Rex before you hulked out.
Right.
It's the eagle, the eagle Nazca line.
Okay.
So like yeah, the villains are like Yu-Gi-Oh takes stuff from all over the world to make a relatively entertaining show, and like they don't. It's like that again. They don't. There's none of this like oh capitalism bad thing.
Because
It's
why
just-
would you?
No, Japan loves capitalism.
It's a bunch of plucky adventurers stopping a big bad guy. Like, yeah, that's
Yes.
all it is.
Buy our cards.
We're gonna destroy the means and take over the means of production. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take over the factory. That's what's happening here. You can't tell it, but that's really the message of Yu-Gi-Oh. Rise up against your capitalist oppressors who have superpowers and turn into whatever. Okay.
That way you can have superpowers too and do the same thing.
Yeah. Be a Sentai or something. I have no idea.
Future for themselves. Eventually, with Rex and the threat of the Darksigners gone, the bridge Rex crossed, which is named Daedalus Bridge, has its construction finished, and unity is restored to Satellite and Neo-Domino City. Thanks to the actions of Yusei, the class structure that held the 5D's world down for so many years is vanquished, and all humans are able to live and travel in the city freely without worrying about any degree of class oppression.
Wait, how?
Where was class oppression before and after this change? What was
I wanna
stopping
know
these
how.
people? Yeah, outside of the immigration rule, which then got lifted. Like what was stopping?
And it was which was only put in place so the villain could keep his secret and not get caught.
Right, and the mark of whatever being a criminal was like no longer relevant, so people could still go away.
Yeah, no, like they even like they don't ever remove the marks on people that are basically a tattoo.
Yeah.
But they still use those, as far as I'm aware, in the rest of the series. Like you never see more people getting them put on them. But as far as I'm aware, that's still like Yusei has that mark on him for the rest of his life.
Well,
Okay.
actually, I mean, isn't there more seasons after this, or does it just end there?
That story arc ends, and then there's like 3 more seasons of 5Ds.
Oh, okay, so is it answered there, or
No, like they it's just Neo Dominant City and Satellite start. Like it's just okay. We're one city again.
oh, okay,
Yay!
Yeah, because then after this they go into dealing with time travel. I'm not even kidding, and stopping a villain from the future who came back in time to stop another
no.
calamity.
So is he
But to
arguing
do that, he's going to destroy the
a
past.
future oppressor.
Yeah, but is he arguing that the class of whatever, the working class who came from the impoverished city is now in control? And therefore
No,
Seems like
they're
it.
not.
okay, so then it's not a
It was basically one corrupt police commissioner that was causing all the problems.
Yeah.
They got rid of him, and now everything's fine again.
so it's not a Marxist workers' paradise. It's just we took out the big bad capitalist dude, and then capitalism took over our impoverished city, and now we're rich again. It's like, oh wait, is that bad or is that good? This is getting weird.
It's not okay, except when we do it.
I
That's basically
don't
the
know.
bottom line.
I'm not sure if this is exactly what he had in mind, or this is a Marxist revolution. I don't think so.
Like, I don't know what prompted him to make this video. Did he just read the Communist Manifesto one day and just said, oh, There it is. There's a
no,
connection in my
this is
brain.
What happens? They take a thing they love, anything, take any hobby, any passion, and they just happen to read anything Marx, and they go, "Wait a second, I see a connection." You're like, "Oh, really?" And they just go with it. You're like, "Oh boy."
Yeah,
See,
exactly
that's
what
the
Paranoid
problem
does.
I have. It's just like you need to think it through because yeah, someone can make that connection, right? But then you just go, "Oh, that's a cute coincidence." Why would you go even further? Why would you go further?
Yeah. All right. Here's a good super chat from PyroKnight137. Thank you, sir, for the 5. Rex Godwin was effectively trying to use the powers of both sides to become a new god. Money was never even on his radar. Oh.
Once again, Japan is not subtle when they don't want to be. His name is Godwin. Obviously, that's like Sephiroth being the villain. It's like they can be subtle when they want, but generally when they don't have to be, they're not going to be subtle. They're going to tell you who the villain is very quickly. And it's clear that Godwin was not the good guy from the beginning.
All right. Well, we're almost done. We got less than a minute. Okay.
Neo Domino City flourishes in this new fighting duels, becoming such an integral part of the city's economy that there are now lanes set in place purely for casual writing duels rather than only being a competitive sport. Suffice to say,
So capitalism is good. Prize fighting is good.
Yeah, I mean, who built that road?
Once again,
Oh God!
at the beginning of the series, writing duels were just becoming a thing. We're just starting to become like a more popular thing.
Yeah.
Like it's the case of like it was a professional, or it was originally done just as like people messing around in Satellite. Then Neo Domino City picked it up. It became like a professional thing there, but only for like entertainment. And then when Satellite reconnected with the city, it got more popular, and they set up ways for people to safely do it and not stop traffic. And it's like what you saw right there when a duel kicks off, it alerts the drivers, and it splits it like shows the city like moving its roads so the duel can continue without stopping traffic and
Right.
causing problems.
It's like an elaborate, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Death Race 2000, but there's an elaborate story behind that with Harlan Ellison. He wrote a story called Along the Scenic Path of this society of cars and people on highways, and they're all outfitted with defensive maneuvers and weapons and technology that you can prize fight essentially against other cars. And
I mean, it's a logical jump in the show. Like, okay, this is a popular thing. The city already revolves around a very similar aspect of it. We're just going to integrate this in, and they can very easily do it, obviously.
Yeah, and there's winners and losers. I'm sure there's a monetary prize, and you get what the guy lost or had. I'm sure that that is the system. Prize fighting is the system of one of the systems of economics in this world. Not like if you have prize fighting, like think about that. I'm going to challenge you to a duel, my capitalist oppressors, and then you beat them up, and then you take all their stuff. So
yeah, and honestly, there's only been one time when someone goes, "No, I didn't lose," and that was with Bandit Keith, and he pulled a gun on Pegasus, and then Pegasus, Looney Tunes, did a trap door underneath him and threw him out of his castle.
Yeah. So, if you have a system like that in place in your society, I think your oppressors would probably lose here and there if they ever accepted. So, being able to rise up against people in a factory wouldn't be that hard. Or, out of luck, someone will eventually do so and change the system if they really wanted to, if it was a problem.
I'm just wondering what you're gonna do with all these oppressors.
Everyone just keeps prize fighting until they're all the same.
Yeah, do you just send them to Satellite as well?
I challenge you again. Same time next week. Okay.
Yeah, now it's the reverse. Wow.
Everyone wins the lottery and loses the lottery. Yeah, that's great.
Yes, because a system of oppressors and oppressed would be strong under a system where they use a game of RNG basically to keep that in place.
Yeah.
That would work.
Eventually, someone would lose. Yeah. So.
Yes, because all trading card games, they are RNG. And the good card games let you modify that RNG to your favor.
Right. Okay, we're almost
See,
done.
that's the problem. Everyone should be a winner.
Yeah. Right.
YuGiOh 5D's is about a lot more than just cars on motorcycles. It's about overcoming oppression, your own self-doubts, and classism in order to build your own future.
Yusei had no self-doubts about himself. He's like,
wait, to build your own future? What
Yeah, like,
does that
towards the-
require?
okay, so towards the end of the series, yes, there is a whole focus on the future because, once again, time-traveling villains from the future come to the past to try to stop a calamity that destroys their future. But to do that, they have to destroy the past. It's dumb time travel, whatever. And yes, so there is an aspect of like building your own future. But Yusei actually has very little character development as a character because he doesn't move to a different point. He's literally, I'm a person who cares about my friends. I'm going to go keep caring about my friends and caring about where satellite because that's where I live. He doesn't move from those points.
There are some pretty good comments in the actual video here. One of our fellows, Papa G, I don't know why that sounds familiar. I personally think capitalism is extremely flawed. Nut. I don't think communism could ever work. But there's actually people who know the show and they mention all the stuff he's wrong about. I'm not going to leave a comment outside of
Thank God.
Yeah, it's not. This is so geeky and specific. There's really no point. But I did leave a comment about you're just projecting. And do you like time travel? Because that's, I think, a bit weirder. If you're gonna jump from class struggle to time travel, I don't think that was ever a goal. Like I don't go into my mind, I'm gonna make a 5-year storyline. In my 3rd year, I'm gonna talk about class struggle. In my 4th year, I'm gonna talk about time travel. What? No. No.
This is supposed to be a show for kids, right?
That's crazy.
So,
It will never fly. But okay.
I don't know, yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
let's see if we have any crazy stream memes. I doubt it. We'll find out.
It's not much.
I can't imagine though, yeah.
Unless it's a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh memes, which neither you two will get, I'm sure.
Satellite is basically early Australia. Send to the Irish. You go to Australia. Oh, God.
I'll fight to the death.
In Beyblade, Moses parts the sea with a Beyblade. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Satellite during the 19th century. We got a bunch of dudes carrying a log. Good stuff.
Oh my God, is that John Marston? Jeez.
The personal is political. If you are polite, that speaks for your politics. All right. Looks like Canadians, but yeah, could be wrong. Anime enthusiasts.
You know, just from the hand, it's Canadians.
Sometimes you can, yeah. Anime enthusiasts want one.
I mean,
thing.
if it was Justin Trudeau, you could be able to tell really easily.
Yeah. Anime enthusiasts
Come on,
want.
that was it. I couldn't resist on that one.
Want one thing, and it is disgusting. Let's see what they want. I could barely read this stuff. Stories then. Fight against the witch. Kill her. Stories now. Fight against the witch. Convince her to join you. Marry and impregnate her. What happened? We like happy endings. We like cute girls. I don't know.
Well, no, look at the bottom. It says people realize that the best way to defeat a villainess is to give her a happy life.
Ah.
Okay.
This guy's entire deck. People running about. Oppressed people. United resistance. Huge revolution.
Yeah, like Yu-Gi-Oh has cards like this that are just like he propagated just something about that, but literally those entire all those cards are just joke. Like they're just being funny.
Yeah.
Like even Huge Revolution. Let me open that up. See what that.
Socialism, capitalism versus socialism. Don't like the socialism, go find another country to live in. Don't like the capitalist company, don't buy from them, or go find another job where you can tolerate the politics and pay. Hint, you won't find any work in the socialist country. Oh, darn.
Oh yeah, and then
Yeah.
but then also the thing is they Konami, they'll release cards like Huge Revolution back in that people running about this guy's deck. Huge Revolution. You need those 3 cards that it had on the field, and then it destroys everything on the field, including itself.
So the Huge Revolution is over. A trap card. The one with the bigger stick wins. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah, basically this one is if 2 or more cards will be destroyed, you just stop that. You just say no.
Here is Smud caught in the factory of the cakes.
Oh God, I forgot to mention this.
What is this?
This is iCarly. Mike Tess has been watching the reboot for some reason.
There's a reboot of iCarly. Why?
I don't know.
Because iCarly was popular because it was well written. It was funny, but Hollywood can't come up with anything new.
So Smut, I have to ask. There's this thing in the show that's called Canadian Fat Cakes.
Canadian Fat Cakes.
Yes.
That's not a thing.
That's not a thing?
There are some.
This show lied to me.
There are some delicious cakes from a company in Quebec.
No, it was the writing crew because they're the same ones that did Drake and Josh, Victoria's. For some bizarre reason, they just like poking fun at Canada. Like a lot of it have just really weird things that come from Canada in those series. For some bizarre I don't know why they use Canada as a punching joke for that, but they like to...
what'd you do, Smud?
Honestly, guys, if you do not know the Vachon cakes, there's like a millefeuille, there's I think a moon cake or half moon cakes, there's Joe Louis, there's all kinds. They're amazing. Like they're really good, and you buy them at the store. They're just dried. You don't have to refrigerate them. You just buy them off the shelf. There's no factory. They are delicious. They are really. As a kid, I grew up with these things. Like, holy crap, this is amazing. So, yeah, check out Vachon cakes. They're delicious, and there's all different kinds and styles. So there's something for everyone. Anyway, guys, that was a really strange take.
I might actually have to take a look and see if there's just anything worth just like.
Yeah, what'd you learn?
The rest of his stuff.
I don't know.
I mean, you probably learn more about 5Ds from me and some of the super chats than anything that this idiot said.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Minutes.
Like you get a fan who's like, "Oh, I like Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah, I also like Karl Marx. I think I'm going to make a connection." Whereas you get an actual fan who just likes the content and says, "I know what this is." It's like, no, it's not what that's about. Even on a thematic level, it's not even relevant. So that's what happens with these fanboys. They just get ahead of themselves and see connections where there are none. So, but it's not just fanboys. This happens in academia as well. You always get that guy in the middle of lecture hall just stand up and ask a dumb question unrelated to the topic. Happens a lot. So, anyway, thank you so much, guys, for the suggestions. I know it wasn't exactly the one that won, or it changed. It changed up and down the past hour or so, or the past hour before 5 o'clock, rather. So,
he was really wanted to see this dumb take on Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I know. It wasn't for everyone, but hey, good to know we got some fans out there of anime who know the lore and have watched the show, can tell you what the hell's going on. So thanks, Gio. We appreciate your time here. That was very helpful, because I would be totally lost watching to this drivel and going, he's probably wrong. I don't know why, but I could probably bet he's wrong.
Yeah, totally. Learn more from you than the guy.
To be fair, anytime it's this is communism, you go, no, it's not, and you're probably more right than they are.
Yeah.
I just wonder what audience he's trying to find.
I know. I was looking at the comments on the video. It's like all these people are like praising this thing.
Yeah.
Really? God damn.
Like, scroll down like a little bit. One was, "This is the Yu-Gi-Oh content I've been craving. Nothing like dropping the Communist Manifesto on the first fourth of a video to get me going." Okay, he's laughing at that.
Yeah.
Okay, that one he's laughing at.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah, or another one's like, "This is actually probably better than what he was saying. That it's more of a criticism of Japanese society," which it is, and is a push for the idea that a person should be allowed to pull themselves up out of poverty. Which it's more 5Ds is more of that than saying the people are having a revolution against the bourgeoisie.
The bourgeoisie. I thought that was like a food, like
Anyway.
an ingredient. No, I'm just joking.
All right. Okay, guys.
No, I
Well,
was gonna say, it's just Mark's trying to sound smart.
yeah. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great evening. Keep the suggestions coming. Always keep your suggestion going. If we didn't get to it, there's always a person out there wants to cover it. And if you really want to cover a video or get a video covered, and there's no one better than you, recommend yourself to come on the show. I have no problem talking it over with you and getting you on the show for a few hours and seeing what's the big deal. So thank you so much for your time. We'll talk to you real soon. Good night.
Capitalism.